Welcome back to playthrough of Fredericksburg 160th anniversary using the Glory 3 system across the Rappahannock. We're on to turn 4, which is 14:45, 2:45 p.m. on the 13th of December. And as you saw from my last video, we looked like we were pushing against Marye's Heights over here with some success, a little bit more than what actually happened on that day. So we're going to continue along with that, and I've actually rolled for the initiative already, and the Union has won the initiative, so they will get the first go of the day, and it's actually going to be, let's see if I can get that zoomed in there. Come on, focus in. There we go. Couch is going to take it. The yellows over here, continuing the attack up through here. Hopefully we can get Wilcox into the action over here before Lee and Longstreet can activate over here, or Jackson can activate over to the left. So let me play through that. And bring you on if I've got some good action here, but let me take a moment to think about how they're going to attack, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, bringing you back after Couch's attack, or Couch's activation and attack. Had a little artillery fire back and forth over here, no effect. A little bit of shifting of artillery over here as well. The big thing was that Hancock and French activated together. They were actually able to do a coordinated activation in here, and moved up and attacked the rest of the stone wall. Actually pushed Cobb A out of the wall location, and he was actually withdrawn due to second disorder. Walton B artillery fell back over here. Wilcox B had to displace over there. He passed his activations and he was fine. So they've actually gained the wall over here, which is interesting because now that puts in peril this position up here. So they actually may have opportunity to take those heights if things continue along. Back over here with French, they pushed up. They didn't attack. They kind of poked their way through in here because remember, there's no zones of control here, and they can advance one hex going from one hex to the other. So this puts them in a good position to break through, and this is going to really force the rest of Anderson's units to come up and defend the rest of Marye's Heights over here. Howard is still in reserve. He shifted a little bit to potentially help with Hancock and the attack in the center over here, but generally he's still in the reserve position. So with that said, we will remove markers and move along to the next activation, which this is going to be, Wilcox. So we're going to have, come on, there we go. We're going to have Wilcox actually activate now, which means that this whole flank over here is going to get to attack now and really push on the south side of Marye's Heights within here. So let me take a think on this a little bit, and we'll get back to you. Okay, back with the results of Getty's attack, or excuse me, not Getty's, but Wilcox's attack, Getty being one of them over here. First off, actually with Getty, we'll start with him over here. He tried to push this center position, but failed with defensive fire from Kershaw right here, knocking him back. But that allowed Sturgis over here to attack down the Telegraph Road, and he actually pushed back Branch and Kershaw A, who was already disordered, and he second disordered, so he was actually withdrawn as well. So Telegraph Road is actually getting open over here. This is a very vulnerable position now because all we have is artillery holding it, although they can defensively hold very well. But now Lee and Longstreet are going to have to figure out something here for defense. I'm thinking Jenkins may need to be dispatched to come over here and help out in the defense as Sturgis is pushing down the road, and the Union has now captured 4 Telegraph Road hexes here. With Sturgis attacking here, the second group of Sturgis units here that were back here moved up and tried to attack Cobb and Perry's brigade. What was left of Cobb's brigade plus Perry's brigade here, just below Marye's Heights on the opposite side of the stone wall. They were repulsed, and one of the second brigade's units were pushed back over there. Burns, on the other hand, just consolidated around here, leaving these units here, moving up this unit. Did do some recoveries over here with a couple of his units, and also moved up his artillery to position here to hopefully prevent any type of counterattacks or make it tougher for any counterattacks by Lee and Longstreet over there. So that is all of Wilcox. So far, so good for the Union, pushing back on Marye's Heights, but there's still pretty potent Confederate units up there. Next one out is Reynolds. Hopefully you can see that there. We go. Reynolds. So Reynolds chit comes out. So let's get on to Reynolds here and see how he works out. Remember, he is actually up over here. Let me reposition. Sorry for the movement. But he is actually up here, and he is facing the whole of Jackson's corps. D.H. Hill hitting him here, and Early as well hitting him here, and also A.P. Hill starting to filter in here as well as the line rolls up. Taliaferro is over here as reserve, kind of thinking they may shift over here depending upon the events that develop as we were just talking about. So let me see how Reynolds handles his defense, and we'll be back with you. Okay, back with you with Reynolds. So with Reynolds, he's just kind of consolidating his position, reshifting some of Doubleday's troops around and trying to recover. They did try to fire at them, but that was a miss on there. Meade over here consolidated back. He was in an exposed position at this point. Moved his guns back to prevent Early's attack over here. Gibbon shifting one brigade down here to help stem the tide and fill the gap between Doubleday and Meade over there to hopefully prevent D.H. Hill's continuing attack down there, while at the same time holding his line back here. A couple units shifted back over here, and hopefully they can recover in the next activation. But that is all for Reynolds for now. Next chit coming out is going to be Lee and Longstreet. Hopefully that shows up there. There we go. Lee and Longstreet. So let me take a look at that and see what that's going to look like, and we'll go from there. Okay, back with Hood's movement here, and this is going to be a wide variety here. Oh, sorry for the glare. Wide variety of movement going on here with Longstreet and Lee over here. First off, we had a little bit of shifting of units up here to counter French's attack, and actually Mahone attacked up through here, pushing back French into there. Little artillery fire, but really no effect in here. So they seal up that hole that was developing. back over here. Walton's guns that were disordered moved back so they can try to recover. Meanwhile, Wilcox B advanced up here to check Hancock's attack. Featherston over here and Wright, they stayed put. A really tough attack over here. But over here, a little bit of artillery fire from Cabell's battery had no effect. Ransom was able to get one of his units, one of his brigades back in good order. The second one over here was not able to, but they're still holding the line quite well. As we progress over here more to McLaws' position up here, basically just held out, a little bit of artillery action missing here, trying to hit Sturgis, who was coming down the road here, but they missed. Same with Branch. And then Pickett had repositioned Jenkins' unit to block any further advance from Sturgis over there. Hopefully can counterattack here shortly. With the rest of Pickett up here, he has just kind of held the line, pulled back one of Corse's, half of Corse's brigade over here, just as reserve, seeing as Smith is still trying to recover. Big thing is going to be Hood has shifted his reserve units off of here. Seeing as Smith is not attacking and recovering, we can probably hold off with Robertson and Anderson up here for a while. Plus we have Taliaferro in reserve back here. So I think they're going to be safe. So they moved up Benning and Law to kind of help support Pickett's units over here, as well as potentially move them up Telegraph Road. I'm not sure if they're going to get into a counterattack position, as that would leave Hood stretched out across the line here. So we'll see how that goes. But that kind of has hopefully stabilized the line for now for Lee and Longstreet. So we'll move on to the next chit. We're back to Couch again. So Couch is back here, and you remember he had his initial attack up the hill. So we will get this attack going and see how that goes. Okay, back with Couch's second activation. So in this one, a little bit more conservative. Howard and French activated together and took some artillery fire up here against the one improved position that was outstanding here. Unfortunately, no hits on there. Alexander's battery did not counter battery because they want to go after him later on with any attacks. So with that, French basically just kind of reorganized here a little bit, kind of held back, pull back, I should say, the disordered unit, and just consolidated his position, moved up one unit, again taking that very edge of the Marye's Heights, which effectively the Union has done over here. Confederates blocking in through here. Hancock, on the other hand, tried to push up a couple of units to attack Wilcox. Right here, defensive fire stopped them. Tried to recover a few units. We just got one unit recovered over here. It's a good one. It's the 2nd Brigade of the 1st Division here of Hancock. And so that was pretty much it for Couch's attack. So we're going to take off these markers, and we're going to take a look at who is going to be next. Still got Jackson hasn't come out yet. Smith hasn't come out yet. And the artillery. So, Smith. So Smith is our next activation. That's 1, 2. It's our 6th activation. We're about halfway through here. So let me get Smith going, and we'll be back with you. Okay, bring you back here. It's the end of Smith's activation here. Newton tried to go up against Pickett's units here. Failed miserably in the attacks, both defensive fire here and then just a low roll over there. Brooks on the other hand, stayed put. A little bit of recoveries for him over here. Artillery fire over here by the 6th Corps was a little bit more effective. They actually disordered Robertson B over here, which is interesting. So that prompted Howe to move up these the 2nd Brigade to a position that they could potentially attack if we can knock down some more of them, and try to keep Hood from moving any farther into out of his position over here, so that relieves pressure or causes more pressure on the Confederates over here to the center. So that's all for Smith. Should be getting some Confederates. I'm looking at the chits drawn so far, and we've got 5 Union to 1 Confederate. So the back end of the trend is going to be Confederates. So, Lee Longstreet. All right, here we go. The 2nd Lee Longstreet. So it's still no Jackson left in here as well. So let me take a look at that, and we'll get back. Okay, back with the head of Longstreet's activation. So with Longstreet, a couple things occurred here. Anderson pushed back French here off the lip of Marye's Heights a little bit. Mahone failed to recover on there, but that's okay. Ransom kind of reshuffled their units around a little bit to get some coverage here, and they took some. Kind of holding defense over here. The artillery over here, Cabell was able to disorder Burns' unit that moved up over here, which is key, because really this string of Union troops that are holding this road are now disordered, so they're going to have to figure out something to get themselves back in good shape. The lead unit of Sturgis over here, I should say Sturgis at 1st Brigade, they were disordered by Cabell B over here. Then Jenkins tried to attack, but failed. Actually, he should be disordered. And Jenkins B had to retire. The other one stayed where it was on there. Anderson didn't opt to attack over here on Marye's Heights. It's just too much at the moment. They're going to kind of whittle at the edge and kind of hold off over here and see what we can do. Because the key thing here is this telegraph road over here, because the Union now holds 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes of this, and they've got to nibble away the Union before they get reinforcements up there. The rest of McLaws and Pickett kind of just held the line here against Smith and the rest of Wilcox, Getty's division over here. And then we have way over here, we have Hood, who he just kind of stayed put, again, blocking the rest of Smith and providing some reserve over in here. So all in all, a little bit of counterattacking, but not much retaking of ground that was lost. A little bit of back and forth here, but Union has still some good control over the several hexes of the Telegraph Road, and that's going to be a problem for the Confederates to counterattack with. Still haven't seen Jackson's chit yet. And so we'll move on to the next. I think Marye's Heights is pretty much done. Oh, well, there's one more Wilcox I see that needs to come out, but let's see who this is. Here we go. Jackson finally comes. So Jackson makes his appearance, and just a reminder, he is back over here providing kind of a flank attack against Reynolds, and coming up on Smith to try to alleviate some of the pressure on the center over here. So let me see how that goes, and we'll get back to you at the end of his activation. Okay, coming back from Jackson's activation here, a couple things. I'm going to put you over on the close-up camera. First off, we have D.H. Hill's attack up here. You can see they've pushed forward and then pushed back the center of Meade and Doubleday's lines over here. Reynolds' troops are falling back tremendously here. They're disordered and having problems holding the line here. Not exactly sure how they're going to hold out. The artillery across the river may help out a little bit, but they seem like they're collapsing again. And we're going to have to fold their line back to protect the bridges over here, which could mean that Smith units will be in trouble as well, which they kind of are if I reposition the camera a little bit, as A.P. Hill started his attack over here against the Union troops. Be around. There we go, that's better. So you can see Hill's attacks over here. He's pushing against Smith's left flank and trying to drive a wedge between them and the First Corps' flank as well. Early tried to get into it as well, but they were stopped by defensive fire. They're moving up troops as well to try to attack here as well. And then the only other thing here, jumping back to the bigger camera, you'll see over here to the southwest, Taliaferro has moved around and starting to position on the Telegraph Road. He's going to need to be the reserves that push back Sturgis, I think. He's the only one who's really fresh over there, and he can move around there. He'll leave his artillery, though, back here to cover the flanks and just use the infantry to try to push up the road. But it's going to take him a couple of activations. He's got to go, he moved to here. Next activation he can go to he can move up to around here. And then finally up to there. So it's probably going to be next turn before he gets into any type of attack position. So that gives the Union a little bit of chance to hold the road. So that's all for Jackson. So we're going to take a look at the next activation, which is going to be Wilcox. So that's the second Wilcox unit coming out of there. That'll come back onto the center of the battle here once again. So I'll flip it back around and I'll take a look at Wilcox's second activation and get back with you and see how that looks. Okay, coming to the end of the Wilcox's activation. First off, we had Getty attacking over here, and he was successful driving back Kershaw B coming up over here. So the threat really is coming on the flank over here. But Burns took a shot over here with their artillery, but didn't phase them over here. They tried to attack here in the center, try to alleviate this gap over here and push the Confederates back, but failed with these two units. Sturgis recovered a unit here, but he still has a disordered unit here, and then others recuperating behind as well. So not much effort, not much advancing units in the middle here at this point, and a lot of disorder. This may be a turn, next turn may need to have some recovery, which may give the Confederates some option there for firming up the defense and potentially even counterattacking. Now we've just got 3 more chits to go here. Next one is Jackson. Alright, so we've got Jackson coming out with his second chit. Okay, coming back with Jackson's continued attack over here. Take a look on the close-up camera. And you can see DHL pressing the attack hard against them. Unfortunately, though, the top units were disordered in 2 of the attacks. One of the attacks succeeded. Ramseur, attacking Meade and his guns up here, was able to drive them back, and that subsequently displaced the units that were here. And one of Meade's units was lost. The First Corps is taking heavy casualties at this point. We've got 4 units that are either withdrawn or waiting for recovery. 2 units on board that have recovered but can't, and multitude of disordered units in there as well that they just can't get a chance to recover. Early, same thing, pushing against Gibbon's division within the First Corps and driving hard to get through there. If they get through there, they can capture these bridges. I'm feeling that Smith is going to need to fold back off of his attack to prevent any loss of the pontoon bridges over here. But he is under pressure now from AP Hill coming up over here and launching attacks against their left flank and splitting them, which may split these two. If Hill and Early can get through, they could potentially split these divisions and destroy the First Corps, which would be a major disaster for the Union. As I said, Smith will have to fall back. Not sure what that's going to do for the center attack, which was kind of progressing. Switching back to the other camera here, you can see this was progressing fairly well. Although we do see off to the side over here, come back over here a little bit so you can see it. Taliaferro has made his second move up here. He's now on the Telegraph Road. One more move, he'll be in position to attack Sturgis up here and try to counter the breakthrough in the center. So that is what Jackson's activations look like. So the final two, and I'm just going to do these in sequence here and then come back with you for the final turn. The final two are going to be Pleasanton and the artillery across the river. So I'm not seeing a lot of activity for these. Some firing and maybe some repositioning. But we'll take a look at those, and I'll bring you back for the end of the turn. Okay, coming back for the end of the turn and the artillery phase, not much change. One significant piece happened over here. These two artillery units were able to team up and knock out Rhodes, half of Rhodes's brigade, actually disordered them, and then subsequent second disorder. So they're now in the withdrawn box over there. So that was significant for the Union to kind of slow up D.H. Hill's attack, over here. So at the end of the turn, this is what we look like for the battle. We have up here Jackson still pushing hard against 1st and now 6th Corps to drive them back towards the bridges over here. Not sure how we're going to defend that over here. 6th Corps is now taking heat from AP Hill's division as they had advanced up here. They may need to retreat back and cover Deep Run here, or Deer Run, and protect the bridges as well as their left flank. Back towards the center, it's a little bit more evenly balanced at the moment. We have Pickett over here holding off against Smith, and McLaws taking a lot of damage from Getty division from the 9th Corps, as well as Sturgis and Burns holding this little bubble and the victory point hexes right now, 4 of them right within here. Then we also have 2nd Corps pushing up against here and up against Anderson's. So the Confederates are in a strong position right now, although they do have the breakthrough. Well, we'll see if there's a counterattack over here once Taliaferro gets over into these positions over here. The only other thing I'm going to make note of, and I'll bring over onto the smaller camera for this, is the Union had some losses here from recoveries. So 2 of Meade's brigades lost half their units, and 1 of Brooks's lost half their units. Then the other thing, looking over at what we have for recoveries now for next turn, we will have 2 recoveries here for the Union and 3 for the Confederates. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out with everything. The Union did have some recoveries over here, mainly for Meade's units up in here, just off camera here a little bit. Here we go, up in here, and then one of Brooks' units down here did recover. But again, they won't be able to fully recover. They'll be more of a defensive unit for the rest of the game. So there we have it. We're at the end of turn 4. That's 245. We're going to move on to the 1600 turn, and I will shoot that and see how that goes. So we've got 3 turns left. This ends after the 1830 630 turn with it, and we'll see if the Union can hold their 4 points over here on the Telegraph Road and get some sort of victory out of it, or if Jackson will crush them back and Taliaferro will recover those lost hex and push the Union back over the Rappahannock, much like the historical battle. So that's all for now. I appreciate you watching. I thank you for watching, and we look forward to you on the next one. Thank you.